Podcast Magazine founder Stephen Olsher reinventing and dismantling the status quo. Founder and editor-in-chief of Podcast Magazine, Steve Olsher, was interviewed by host Blair Glover of Amazing Women and Men of Power, reflecting on the one-year anniversary of launching his Podcast Magazine. In celebration of the one-year anniversary of Podcast Magazine, contributing editor of Podcast Magazine, Blair Glover, spoke to Stephen Olsher about his journey as an entrepreneur, coach, consultant, and the beginnings of Podcast Magazine. It was a matter of following his instinct to pursue what he described as a rebirth of the podcasting medium. Known as America's reinvention expert, Stephen Olsher is a serial entrepreneur who has launched several multi-million-dollar companies, an accomplished real estate investor, international keynote speaker, New York Times best-selling author of the book What Is Your What?, as well as a coach/consultant who has helped countless people across the globe discover their what. He is also the creator and host of the New Media Summit, a unique live, and now virtual, event that provides a singular platform for aspiring podcast guests to pitch leading podcasters and get booked on the spot. When host Blair Glover asked lifelong lover of radio Steve about the past year and creating the magazine, Steve said, "The beautiful thing about podcasting is that it gives every person the opportunity to ostensibly have their own radio station, and the cost of entry is extremely low. As a matter of fact, it's almost zero. And you can reach almost anyone, almost anywhere, at almost any time, simply by clicking a few buttons." I knew back in 2009 that there was something scalable and sustainable to this. 10 years later, the medium really began to hit its stride, and I believed in my heart that the opportunity was before us to go all in. When asked about his goal in creating Podcast Magazine, Steve shared, "Our goal is to humanize the people behind the microphone, to share who they truly are as opposed to simply talking about their podcast," Steve said. Of course, we love profiling podcasters who have achieved stratospheric heights, as it adds credibility for the magazine, but what we love even more is helping podcast fans discover shows that may not appear in the charts, which is becoming increasingly difficult as deeper and deeper pockets enter the mix. Fact is, we all have something to learn, and everyone has something to teach. One of my favorite expressions is to a second grader, a fifth grader is a god. Podcasting is the absolute personification of this, as it allows each of us to help others simply by sharing our respective expertise. Video link. Steve's success didn't begin with podcasting. He has run the gamut of business and reinvented himself over and over again, becoming the reinvention expert by walking the walk. From building a catalog and online business, Liquor by Wire, together with his mom, to real estate development, then finding a new what again with podcasting in 2009. According to Steve, a fundamental question every entrepreneur must be able to answer at each stage of his or her business's life cycle is, what conversation do I most want to be part of? He continued, when we determined that podcasting is the conversation we most want to be part of, we had to figure out how to make that happen. We had to figure out what we could do to sit at the hub of the podcasting industry. In other words, if you think about how a bicycle wheel operates, all of the spokes connect to a center hub. And for us, that answer is Podcast Magazine. When we examined the total available market, we determined the biggest opportunity would be in catering to podcast fans. Entrepreneurship has provided Steve with myriad benefits, but he is quick to point to the greatest by far, enjoying more time with his family. Married to his wife Lena since 1997, this father of three has been able to work from home almost every day of his children's lives, and he hopes he is passing down the value of time freedom to his sons. Now, one of Steve's primary missions is to give people the tools they need to reinvent their life, first by helping them identify how they're naturally wired to excel, and then by showing them how to get paid extraordinarily well for what comes as naturally to them as breathing. The interview concluded with Steve saying, "I've still got a lot more to give to this world. I'm taking it day by day, doing whatever I can to maximize the time I've been blessed to receive. And today I'm more aware than ever that life, and our time on this planet, is fleeting." To grab a free lifetime subscription, limited time offer, and read the full interview in Podcast Magazine, click here or go to